Well, for that, the repeat editing was part of our initial screen, but I didn't want to go to it there. But a lot of the real editing you do, wait till it's in the calendar and then go to it there because you have more editing options. Okay, so this means only one time, I think. Let's go ahead and see what happens. Ah, look at that. On this Tuesday, it was every month on that, and it goes for as long as I want. So there's the test class, right? That's all generated from that email. So now there's no excuse not to get things in your iCal. Doesn't mean you have to go do it, but if they're in there, you can look busy. But the other nice thing is as we go down here, there's some other options that iCal gives you that I live by. End, I can say end after a year or whatever I want. Right now it repeats out into forever. But the funny thing is, it's not like it has a million different appointments out to infinity. It just has this algorithm that says every time a month comes up, put it in there. Okay? So it's a calculation. It's these dates along the way. Takes up very little room. You can say show as busy or show as free. For instance, if you're sharing your calendar and you want to see, well, yeah, that's there, but I'm busy for that time or I'm free for that time for other things. Which calendar I want to put it in. If I misfiled it in the beginning, I can change that here. We're going to discuss those calendars in a bit. Alarm. This is the best thing there is. I can tell it to remind me with a message which pops up on my screen or on my iPhone or on my iPad or on my other computer. A message with sound, bing, whatever. Or an email. It'll email me a reminder. And we won't worry about open file or run script. Those are for getting complicated. I have one guy, I set up one for a client where he has a printer, a special printer that if he's gone for a month or two, he wants it to cycle through its cartridge. It's one of these big plotter printers. We set up a calendar reminder that opens up a file, prints a small little page to make sure his ink goes through, and then shuts back down. Does it every other week while he's gone, he activates that. So just so that printer doesn't get clogged up. This big thing, ink's cheap for it. So on all of these message with sound, and email, you get a little screen. Oh, do I want it to do all of my repeating events or just this one? I'm going to do just this one for now. Only this event. And the only difference is it'll repeat it. Whatever you tell it to do, it will repeat for all of them. So my alarm is email. I still have a chance to say message or whatever. I have set in my mail different email address, or in this one I defaulted it to my work in my address book. Remember the My Card? That's why it's important to have your My Card filled out. This looks into your My Card and says, oh, that's your email address. So I'm going to email Ken Spencer at this address, kenspencer.com, 15 minutes before the meeting. Well, or I can go 15 hours before, 15 days before. Let's say 2 days before, it's going to email me. Then I want an email reminder that morning. So I'm going to say email. And look at this. I've already done this one, so it knows these down here. Remember, I just did 15. It kind of defaulted to it. But I'm going to say email me, and I'll click that one. And then I'm going to change the 15 to a 1. So it will email at 9 a.m. in the morning, 2 days before, the day before. But then the day of, I want a message with sound, and I can change the sound. And I want it to be, let's say, 1 hour before the meeting. So on my computer, on everywhere, I'm going to get an email 2 days before, 1 day before, and 15 seconds before. Now, I don't know why, but some of these you can also set it to be after. I don't know why you want a message afterwards. Maybe if you're in a long meeting, you could say, okay, an hour after the meeting time, send me an email. I would imagine we could probably make it do a fake phone call if you wanted, but that's... So, the other thing is, I can add invitees. So, the nice thing about adding an invitee, and I can go, there was a test. There it is. I add that to it. And I can check their calendar for available meeting times, but I just did this. But the beauty, I think, let's say this little invitation we got, remember that email? Let's say it was about the party of the century that was coming up, and you didn't want to miss it. If you added it from mail, actually, let's go back to an invitees. If this changes, let's say this meeting I decide to change, which we're going to do in a second. Let's just do that. So I'm going to send. So I'm done with the edit. I'm going to click off. Okay, so now this little march, and this is before, that's where we're not going to get the alarms, but when I double click on this, I want to, let's say, move this to the day before. I can just simply drag it to wherever I want and let go, and now it says I'm going to send a new invitation because it changed. But let's say we had told this to make our, remember how it said all? We said just this invitation. Let's say this Saturday was a holiday, and you move this one. It gives you the choice of, do you want to move all of them to Friday now, or just this one? Okay, question? Okay. So what's really cool now is I can go, I can go here and double click, and if I say show in mail, it takes me right to that mail that was, called Party of the Century. It goes back into my mail and shows me the mail of the original email that we made this appointment from. Yeah, so let's say this was a Party of the Century. This happened to be an email with just some notes on it, but it had a map on it, or it had who to contact, or whatever it was. From your appointment, you say, show me in mail, and it pulls up that one.
I've been doing it so hard. I've been making a PDF of the email or something and attaching it to that calendar.
You can, and that's a great point, though. That was attached to file. Let's show how to do that, because sometimes you'll want to do that. So when I click edit, there is, where's file? Well, you can make a note here. You know what? File must have gone away. Yeah, let me try a different one. Let's try edit.
Is it a preferences thing you can turn on?
No, because it was on a second ago.
Is it only
Let's do a new event. Wow. Oh, I'm sorry. It's in alarms. Open file. So, for instance, if you had a PDF, you could say, you can say, open this file on that date. That's what it is. Or you can actually, if it was a website, you could attach the website here, and you can put all kinds of notes you want in the notes section.
There's an attachment.
Yeah, and I'm not seeing it right now, and I'm trying. It was there a second ago, but you can tell it to open a file on that date, and I'll look for that later. I saw it earlier. I saw it when we were doing it. That might have been when we went from mail. Let's check here. Huh. Wow. So that's. Okay, sorry. Anyway, you could point to a file and it would open. But the best way is in the mail, it shows the mail we got it from. So in fact, it was a map to the party. Or in this case, remember, we used my address to map my address from the mail. We would go back to the mail and say, oh, there's the address to where it is. So show in mail. And then go down here, and at this point, use the data detector to say, show map. And there's the map to the party of the century. It's at my house, but there won't be much of it. It's a short century.
What time do you want us there?
Yeah, right. Yes, for our follow-up Mac class.
You can show up in Richard's class.
Yeah. Actually, be there about 5 because I'll be out watching the Stanley Cup over at Players. So, all right. So back to iCal. I am recording. Calendars on the left here. Those of you that have Mobile Me will have, on my Mac are the calendars that are actually on this computer. That's going to probably change here with the new Mobile Me. We'll probably all have our calendar syncing with the cloud, and it'll be listed on the left. These are my Mobile Me calendars. If I sync to this with Gmail, which I can do, or Yahoo, or Microsoft Exchange Server, or Entourage, those would show up on the left. And let's look at that. Let's go up to File, New Calendar. And where do I want to add it? It's untitled. We'll leave it there. And if I go to Preferences, I go to Accounts. This is where I want to add it. So my me.com is right there. If I want to add a CalDev, which is what me.com uses, what Google uses and stuff, these are my choices. I can add a Mobile Me calendar. In other words, if I have a Mobile Me account, I could link to it. If I have a Google Gmail account, with your free Gmail, you get Google Calendar, so it will link with it. And if you have 2 computers or an iOS device and a computer, multiple devices, if you tell them all to sync with a Google or a Yahoo Calendar, it will, that's the intermediary, that's the server, that's the cloud. So if I'm on this computer and I made that party of the century, it would sync it to up there, then my phone connects with it, or my other computer connects with Google or Mobile Me or Yahoo, and brings party of the century down to it, and it exists here now too. It exists everywhere. If I change it, make additions, deletions, changes, it changes it on the cloud, and then it filters down to all your devices that are synced. So you have to think about that as the cloud is your intermediary, and that's the only way it can filter out to your multiple devices. Obviously, if you're syncing your iPhone or your iPad directly to your computer, it will reflect the changes there. But everything's moving to the cloud, and that's more important as we become more independent with our devices away from our computer. And I foresee this whole new iCloud thing as, right now when you buy an iPad or an iPhone, you have to at least once sync it with a computer. That's, I think, going to end very soon. You're going to be able to go into the Apple Store. If you have a Mobile Me account or an iCloud account or a Google account, you can say, okay, that's it, and it will propagate all your information down to your device. Information as far as your data, not and your email, not all the files that are stored. That's kind of, that's done by other things, but I think that's how that's going to be. And if you think about how nice that is everything is always going to be immediate and handy. You walk into somebody else's house and you don't have a computer with you. You're in Mozambique and you find an internet cafe and you need to get someone's address because you're going to send them a postcard saying, wish you were here, having a great time. And you can pull that up on another computer by logging into your account. Okay, so it's always with you and always there. Go ahead.
When you invite other people to the party of the century, can you go in and add it from the group? So a whole group from address book gets it, or just an individual?
Yeah, because when I started to hit test, it was my group. You can invite multiple people. Or you don't have to use a group. You can invite multiple people within the line, as many as you want. Okay. And by the way, now with Mobile Me Calendar, if you use Mobile Me Online, which I think is coming here, there's even RSVP available. So, go ahead.
So the attendees, you'll get a drop-down calendar. So if I put in Bob, I got 3 Bobs in there, it'll allow me to...
Right. Let's look at that. So again, Exchange, if people are using Blackberries or if you're in an office environment where they're using Microsoft Exchange Server, this will sync with Microsoft Exchange Server. That's one where everybody shares one calendar and you have your own personal calendars. Mobile Me, Google, and Yahoo. Those are set up automatically. You could have Bob and Joe's internet server or something and you could even sync with that. You just need to get the information. These are the default ones that are set in there. So let's go back to our invite. I'm going to go to this new event and I'm going to edit and add invitees. We had Ken. See, I just start typing Ken and there's two possibles there.